this and that so that we've got a full view of the thing. And let's hide our measurement. So now we're gonna start with the wait a minute. So I think I've kind of deleted my fabric, right? So that's okay. We can recreate it and just call it fabric again. So now, okay, something like that, and yeah, make it 1 meter. Freeze the scale, and we're gonna subdivide it 99 times, and we're gonna delete a half of it, and yeah. Now we're gonna apply the mirror modifier, and that's gonna be our stock fabric that we're gonna duplicate again and again and again. So now let's duplicate it and let's make it body. I guess let's call it body. And yeah, now the first thing we're gonna do is actually to color code it, right? Because as you know, it's gonna be much easier for you to see everything instead of just have to see through this, you know, like gray color. So you have to color code it. So I've created the color codes beforehand, right? I just have to kind of bring this. So the color code is bust and waist and also flaps and sorry, I think I bust, and then let's create new waist and flaps. Sorry, bring flaps. Yep, flaps, and the last one is gonna be cut. Now we've got 4 material, and so let's first measure the vertical length. So if you see that our vertical length is 24, 12, and 102, right? So for the shoulder to the bust line, we're gonna need a 24, right? So that is 24. So this one is 12, right? This is gonna be our waist, right? So we're just gonna select that and then assign it to waist. So that is done. Now we have to deal with the flaps. So this everything is gonna be flaps, right? However, because the fabric is just 1 meter and then our dress length is 138, we're gonna need to extrude this 38 centimeters, right? So 38 centimeters, right? So, and we're gonna subdivide it 37 times, and yeah, so from top to bottom, you can see that now it is 138, right? And then the flaps is gonna be correct, 102. So that is our length. So, okay, now the next thing we're gonna measure is the the horizontal length. And let's start with our shoulder, right? So that is gonna be our shoulder 15. So let's measure 15. So that is gonna be our cut. This is gonna be our first cut. And then next we're gonna deal with the bust, which is gonna be 18, right? So here and here, good, and that is gonna be our cut for the waist. So here's the thing: our waist is 14, right? However, we're gonna add we're gonna add darts, and our darts is gonna be 2 centimeters wide. So we're gonna have to add this with 2 centimeters for darts, and it's gonna make it a 16 centimeters. So that's gonna be okay. Let's measure it, right? So 16 is gonna be here. Let's cut it here. So for the flaps, the cut is going to be exactly like vertical, straight from the waist down. So you can just use this loop and then use the cut here. So that is it. This is our vertical, sorry, our horizontal cuts, and this is the vertical cuts. And yeah, I guess that's it. So yeah, now the first thing that we're gonna deal with is actually make the darts, right? So the darts, where the darts is gonna be cut is actually using our very oddly named measurement, and that is the nipples distance, which is 9 centimeters. So we're gonna measure 9 centimeters from the middle point, and that is our 9. So the width of the dart is 2 centimeters. So they're gonna take up from this 10th and 11th face. Let's put it with a cut, and also here, put it with a cut. So the thing is, if you wonder how we're gonna create, we're gonna create darts, we're gonna create, the top part is gonna be that thing from the bust line to the waistline, like that, right? And then we're gonna take the distance from here to there that we know to be the distance of the waist, which is 12, and we're gonna bring that 12 centimeter down, and then we're gonna make it here, and we're gonna cut it there. So we're gonna cut, in the end, we're gonna get this squished down diamond shape, right? So yeah, let's hide it, and let's measure 12 centimeters down there, right? And then let's put the cut there, right? So that is our darts, what is called again? Mark. So the next one is gonna be doing our color profile, and this is where I'm gonna explain everything about it. So the first thing is, where is our Photoshop? So this is gonna be what we do, right? So let's duplicate this. Let's see, maybe we should be duplicating this instead, right? So you see, the reason why we take this number is because this is actually our body panel, right? This is our body panel, you see, right? So we're gonna make the color profile here. So that's the reason why we need to take this measurement thing, right? Because we're gonna put this thing here. So let's use this number. So first, the horizontal one is 7 centimeters for the front, both for the front and the back, which is 7. It's gonna be here, right? Let's cut it. This is 7 centimeters. And for the front part, it's gonna be 9 centimeters down, and we're gonna measure 9, and this is gonna be our cut. And for the back, it's gonna be 4, so we're gonna have to measure 4, and so this is the cut, right? So to make everything clearer, we're gonna, just like what I did earlier, we're gonna create this kind of triangle thing so that we know that the area is this, right? So yeah, cut. Okay, now that is a good thing. So this is gonna be the color area of the front, and this is gonna be the color area of the back. So yeah, that is our color profile, and we're gonna do stuff with it later. But for now, I think it's kind of done. So the next thing is actually to measure this thing, right? So this is the bust line, right? And this is gonna be the armpit or the underarm thing, and the measure is gonna be 7 centimeters. So you can actually put it right here. So from the shoulder, it's gonna go down until a point of 7 centimeters. So that is 7 centimeters, and this is what I'm gonna call, you know, like the, what's this called again? The armhole mark. So we're gonna cut, that's gonna be 7 centimeters. So we're gonna cut it here and here. So we know that this is the armhole area. So the line goes from that point vertically to that point, and then horizontally from this point to that point, right here. So this is gonna be L thing, and if you measure from this point to down, this is 7 centimeters, and that is the distance from the bust line to the armpit or the underarm. So yeah, we can actually put that there. So yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah, that is looking good. And okay, now we can actually start cutting this. So as you may have known that for this thing, we're gonna kind of have a different front and back part, but there's the big chunk of it is practically identical. For example, the flaps, right? We can actually just cut it because the flaps in the front and the back is exactly the same. So yeah, let's do it actually. Now let's duplicate it for now, because before we cut everything, and yeah, so let's cut it. So this is our flaps cut, right? And we're gonna cut it there. Let's not include this part, and delete faces, right? So, and then the next we're gonna cut from this point to that point, right? That's okay. Now let's delete all this. Okay, that's faces. Let's see if there is anything. Okay, now it's actually clean cut. Now this is as far as, you know, like the front and the back is similar, because from this point on, the front and the back, oh no, actually we can actually do the the darts first before we separate the back and the front. So yeah, now we can do the darts, do the diamond shape thing, and we're gonna delete everything in the middle, and don't forget the tips, this small unreachable thing. And we're gonna just basically that we're gonna bridge these two loops and delete only faces. Yeah, now this is the template, right? Because from this moment on, the front and the back is going to be different. So we can start right now. We can actually start with the back. All right. So now that's duplicated, and let's call it body back. Body back. Now, okay. Now that's we have separated, and yeah, now let's do the color thing first. So now let's bring in our Photoshop, and now this is as, let's rotate it so that we can see the back view better. So this is our back part, right? So this is our back part. And yeah, so it's gonna be something like that instead, right? So we're gonna cut this for the back panel. However, remember that there's gonna be 2 and 2 division, because okay, now this part is gonna be in the body panel. Meanwhile, we're gonna cut it to the side, remember, because it's a raglan thing, and this part is gonna belong to the arm panel. So we only need to cut this lower half of the measurement. That's why we take this measurement. So yeah, now let's bring it up and let's create a curve, a bezier, and let's snap it to the bottom part of it, right? And then this one, see that this, so the division is actually 2 by 2, so you only need to offset 2 centimeters up. So this is 2 centimeters up, so this is equal, so this is straight line, so 1 and 2, right? So that it doesn't look this crazy, let's bring this down a little, so because it's way too big, and voila, now it's easier to see. And let's, where is the, okay, now that is the number. So this is, if you rotate it back, this thing to the side is 5.5 centimeters, right? So we're gonna bring this to 5.5 centimeters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're gonna add another 5 millimeter, and that's gonna be 5.5. And let's put it somewhere so that it's easier to see. And yeah, something like that. And let's measure the curve, right? So anyway, so you also have to activate our the Blender's built-in add-on. It came with Blender already, but you just have to activate it, and it's called Curve Tools, and their job is to measure the length of a curve. So this curve right now is 6.6, and remember that our, so where is it? Okay, now I don't think we recorded here, but if you pull back our color, you will realize that from the middle point to the cut line, it's the division is 6, 8, and 6. Remember, so the curve should be 6 centimeters long. Meanwhile, right now it's still 6.6. So let's bring this somewhere and until it becomes 6. So there and there, probably. That's very close. Let's bring it something like that. Okay. What about we pull this here? Okay. Now that is a little bit. Okay. Now let's pull it something like that, like 5 millimeters. So now that is a good curve, right? 6.2. So that and that, and yeah, this is a good curve, and that is the length of it is already 6. Just try to achieve 6 centimeters. The shape doesn't really matter. Just make it a good curve out of it. no matter the shape is, just make sure that it's kind of, you know, nice and curvy. So yeah, now let's call it color, what is it called again? Color curve back, I think. Now let's cut our back panel with this mesh and knife project. So let's hide it. Sorry. And we're gonna cut this thing. So, yep, face and voila, right? So that is our first cut. The next cut that we're gonna have to make is actually what I call the raglan curve, right? So the raglan curve is the thing that is this thing, right? This thing. The angled, the straight and angled line to the side of the body panel, which is this thing, if you still can see it, this thing, right? So that is the raglan curve. So I'm gonna make it, and let's create, I think I'm gonna make it from this and just gonna duplicate it just to make it a little bit faster. And we're gonna bring this down to this edge, right? To the cut edge here. And I'm gonna rotate it and gonna put the handles, the end handles right in this mark. And then this one too, I'm gonna put it into the same, exactly the same spot, and so that this thing meets in the middle. And this is gonna be our back raglan curve. And we're gonna cut this with this new raglan curve, right? Mesh, knife project, and we're gonna delete everything else here. Okay, let's delete this, right? The small bits and pieces, and we can actually just delete right everything to the side. Also this point here, right? So yeah, we can delete all that faces, and that is our back panel, right? So that is our back panel. And the next thing is we're gonna do the front panel. So let's bring back our body thing and let's duplicate it and let's call it body front, right? So the thing is, the process is not very different, right? So we just have to cut the color profile thing, and to do that I'm just gonna duplicate the back and then let's call it front, right? So for the front panel, let's go back to Photoshop and let's rotate this thing. The division is gonna be still, it's where is it? I think, okay, that one. So the division is actually, let's duplicate it. The division is 3 from the bottom part and then 5.18, or in this case we can make it 5 actually. And we're gonna cut this part out, right? Because this part, this is gonna be the raglan curve, right? And this is gonna belong to the arm panel. So this is the part where it belongs to the body panel. So yeah, let's bring this down and then this thing to the 5th, and it's gonna be 5 and 3. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 5 to the side, and then 3 to the top. So let's put it somewhere, I guess, there. And let's check the curve. See, it's 6.8 centimeters, and still, just like the back curve, that needs to be 6 in length, right? This one too has to be 6 in length. So let's make that. So let's check this now, and it's 6.3, and let's make it a little bit curved. Now that's getting close. Let's put it there. It's getting really close, something like that. It's way too small, Okay, this is actually a good number, 6.04. That's gonna be okay. Like it's like 6 centimeters and 0.4 millimeter. So the difference is okay in this matter. So yes, we're gonna cut this with that. So mesh, knife project, and delete all that, right? And faces. So next we're gonna deal with the raglan curve, but for the front panel. So let's reduplicate the front and do the same thing. Put it there and flip it there, put it there, and voila, that is the thing. So, however, before you kind of cut this is where our second measurement matters, right? So remember that we measure this thing too, right? Here, so we've got 7 and we've got 8, totaling at 15 centimeters, right? So we have to check this, the distance from the collar to the bust line right now. So right now, this is already the same, right? 15. So, however, the thing is, I've created this clothing a few times before, so depending on the model, right, you may find a difference now. For example, you're gonna find this gonna be 14 or 13, right? So meaning that the distance from the collar to the armpit is shorter right now. In that case, you should adjust the length to fit our measurement, which is 8. So, however, right now in my case, this already fits perfectly. But in case you haven't, you should add it to this portion, right? So, for example, let's say this is, instead of 8, it's actually, is it the original? It is the original. Okay, now instead of 8, let's say it's actually 9, right? Meaning that, well, right now it lacks, it's kind of a 1 centimeter short. So in that case, you should add like extra face there by moving it 1 centimeter, and then add a loop cut there, so that right now, if you check, it's 9 centimeters. So that's how you adjust the bust, the collar to bust measurement. However, if you are already the length is already checks out, that's great. You don't have to tweak anything, and you can now just go straight to cutting. So mesh, knife project, and hide it, and we can delete everything here, right? And here as well. Okay, now let's deal with these tiny bits and pieces. And yeah, now we can safely delete the face. So, okay, now that's done. So this is our front panel and this is our back panel, right? So the next thing that we have to, okay, now this is the review in case you want to screenshot or see what we've been doing. This is the back panel and this is the front panel, right? This is what we basically created. And the next thing we're going to do is actually to take notes about the length of the raglan curve, right? Let's call it the raglan curve, right? Because it's going to be easier for us to kind of figure out what is this. So we have to take notes about this, the length of this our raglan curve, right? So to do that, we can use this, right? So for this one, we've got for this one we can actually put it into our notepad, and let's call it curve raglan front and raglan back. The raglan back is 20.2, and this is also the thing that it's okay to be using decimals, because for the thing that I'm gonna explain later. So that's the back, and this is the front. The front is 17.5 millimeters, and yeah, now that is great. Now, okay, I think let's see our body front, and let's check the measurements, because I think I'm kind of missed a little bit, right? Because the bust is 18, and that's what I wrote in the bust. But the thing is, 76, as some of you will point out by now, that 76 divided by 4 is not 18, right? It's actually 19. So that is a kind of a stupid stuff. However, that's okay. We don't have to do the entire thing, I guess. Yeah. Let's see if we can salvage everything here, right? So, okay. Let's see. Okay, the thing is, I think for the recording, it's gonna be better if we're gonna start this a little bit over again. So to do the thing faster, so let's do that, right? Let's call it back again, and then we're gonna push this to the side, right, until it become cut here, and then we're gonna put this back to the bust, and we're gonna measure this, and it's gonna be 19, right? So okay, that's so I don't think we have to do this in the back. I think we should be doing this here, and yes, let's put this back to cut, and let's put it back to bust, and we're gonna delete all that, right? And we're gonna extrude this 3 centimeters, right? And we're gonna add another 2, and we're gonna like merge by distance, right? And so now we can actually recut everything here, right? From this point to that point, right? So that's gonna be we're gonna do it real quick there, and there you go. Now if you measure everything right now, it should be 19, not 18, right? So that's my bad. I kind of miscalculated the bust area, and right now let's do the let's redo this. Let's duplicate it, and let's call it back again, back, And yeah, since we've actually created everything, it's gonna be a little bit faster, right? So we just have to mesh knife project and do that, faces, and yeah, now that is, we're gonna reuse our raglan back, and we just have to add another faces there, and we're gonna cut it right now. Yeah, it's kind of a little bit quicker, I guess, because we've actually done the heavy lifting before. So yep, just delete all that and faces, delete all that, and that's our new thing. So that is our back, and let's do our front, new one, and front. Yep, there you go. Now where is our, let's bring back our curve color front, mesh and knife project, sorry, selected, mesh, knife project, and we're gonna cut it real quick. The thing is that miscalculation happens all the time, I guess, and that's okay actually, you know, like that's kind of the fun part of doing stuff like this. And mesh, knife project, and okay, do that, and take that. I'm gonna delete everything here. Okay, now, okay, this one, faces, and voila, now that is the correct version. So let's check it. That's 15 and that is 19. Okay, that's the correct size. So now let's take our, so this is, maybe this is worth reviewing again, and this is what we did in this chapter. We create the back and the front. Anyway, this is the revisit, not the revisit, the correct version, because previously I kind of miscalculate everything and we put the wrong number for the bust, and that is that's okay. So we fixed it, and now let's continue with our task beforehand. We're gonna measure our curve. So for the raglan front, it's gonna be 18.4, something like that. And for our raglan back, it's gonna be 21 point. It's gonna be very small. It's okay. Just gonna put it there, and there you go. This is our front panel. So not front panel. I mean the body panel. So yeah, I guess the next step is to do the arm. Yeah, now let's do the arm. Let's bring back our fabric, and since the arm is oriented the other way around, something like that, so we can turn off our mirror, and we're gonna delete everything there, and we're gonna reorient the mirror to the y-axis, and there we go. So okay, now let's color code our fabric. So the thing is, again, I've created I've created the material beforehand, and that is gonna be shoulder for our bicep, and then forearm. And the thing is, we can actually reuse our cut from the body panel here. So yeah, let's color code it. So let's measure the vertical length. So let's see. The arm length is 6, 15, and 24. So the first 6 is gonna be the shoulder. and what else? 12, 6, 15. The next 15 is gonna be the bicep, right? That point. So this one is gonna be the bicep, and another 24 for the forearm. Yes, there. And we can actually cut the remaining part of it there. So we've got 3 division. So let's measure the horizontal length. So it starts from the shoulder, and not this shoulder, but that shoulder, the 18, right? So that's gonna be 18, right? So we're gonna cut it here. For the bicep, it's gonna be 14. We're gonna cut it there. Sorry, cut. And probably I shouldn't cut it there. Maybe this one is more appropriate. And for this one, the elbow is gonna be 11. It's gonna be cut it. Sorry, it's gonna be 11, and we're gonna cut it here. And for the wrist, it's another 8, and we're gonna cut it here. Boom, and that is the horizontal length. So there's actually another part of the arm that we should make, and that is what I call in the original version as cap area. So what is cap area? You see, the thing is, previously on the shirt, right, this is gonna be the body panel, this is gonna be the collar, and this is gonna be the buttons and that thing, right? So on the shirt, this is the bicep. This is also the bicep for the outside. So however, so for the shirt, the cap is this area, right? This area here. This is what we call as caps. So meanwhile, it's actually the definition of it, it's still the same. Cap is basically the area between the bicep and then the body part, but in this case it's not the body panel, because that's not what it's connected to, because it's connected to the collar. So the cap in the raglan style shirt, not shirt, in the raglan style piece of clothing, it's gonna be the distance from the bicep to the collar, because the collar is the attachment point for the arm panel. So this entire thing, right? This entire thing is actually cap. So in the shirt case, this is in the shirt case, right? In the shirt case, the cap ends with the armhole that is in the body panel. But on the raglan style piece of clothing, because they're using, one of them is actually outside, the arm is connected to the collar. So the cap is from the bicep to the collar. So that is the big difference. However, the definition is still the same. It's basically the distance of the bicep to any, like any attachment point for the arm. So this is gonna be, we're gonna have to extrude it to make our cap area. But you might be wondering how many centimeters that we have to extrude the cap. So here's the thing. You see, just like what I've mentioned on the, okay, now I think this is the basic version first, right? The easiest thing that how many face that we should extrude is basically that distance from the shoulder down to there, right? To our armhole mark. So that's gonna be 11 phases of extrusion. So let's do that, right? And anyway, let's call it arm, right? So let's extrude the top part, this top part, 11 faces up, right? Minus 11 centimeters, and we're gonna divide it by 10. So yeah, it's great. So we've got extra 11 faces. Anyway, we can make it another color code, and that is for the cap. And we're gonna include everything here to the newly created cap there. So okay, now this is our arm, and before we have to deal with the raglan curve, let's decide the attachment of it first, the attachment of the arm panel to the collar. And let's bring back our collar. So as you can see that our collar, the division of our collar is not equal between the back and the front, because the front gets 6 centimeters of the side panel, and then the back only gets 2. So that's gonna create a difference in our arm panel. So before we do anything with the cap area, it's a good idea that, just to save us a little bit of time, that we cut anything that is basically identical. And that identical things is the line from the wrist to the biceps, basically. So anyway, you can do 2 cuts from the wrist to the elbow, and then the elbow to the biceps. But if you want to make it a little bit easier, you can just cut it in one swoop, because the difference here is not really big, so you can make it one line. So that's gonna save us a little bit of time. And yeah, let's delete all the cut faces, right? And go, okay, and faces. So first, let's let's check this out. It's 14, and it's 12, and that is 8. So that is the correct thing. So now, because we've cut it, now it's a good time for us to do the cap. So let's duplicate it, right? And so let's deal with the arm. So let's bring back our collar again, right? So we know that okay, where is the original? This one is original. Okay, now we know that, let's delete this, right? So we know that, let's move it to the side, and this circumference of this entire thing, it's gonna be 6 and 2, right? So however, we're not very sure about how to cut it here, because this is actually our arm panel here, right? So we're gonna cut this part out of our arm panel. So yeah, so okay, now yeah, let's cut it, right? So yep, so oh no, maybe this is the thing. So it's gonna be, yeah, I think this, yeah, that's okay. So we're gonna cut it this area, right? It's gonna be somewhere around here. So to know where to cut, we actually can use this thing. So let's hide it. This one, and where is the original? This one. No. This one. This one. Okay. Okay, now this is the original version, and okay, now we've got 6. Okay. Okay, now as you can see that well, actually it's not that hard, to be honest. Where's that now? So the distance itself is actually already in our favor, right? So where is, okay, now it's gonna be 6 and 2, right? So yeah, let's first of all, because it's gonna be different from the front and the back, let's apply our mirror modifier. So let's get 2. This is gonna be the cut, and 2 for the back, and then 6 for the front. And as for this depth of this, actually the easiest way to do that is to like take the 7 and 5.5, so, or 7 to 5, so it's gonna be like 2 centimeters, right? So yeah, 2 centimeters. So gonna be, yeah, I think this is gonna be the shape, to be honest. Yep, so 6 centimeters to the front and then 2 centimeters in depth. So that is gonna be our color profile cut for the arm panel. So before we cut anything, right, the first thing that we have to concern about is actually the raglan curve for the arm. So if we bring back our, let's take our front first, and let's duplicate it, and let's put this there, right, and let's put it there. Okay, now the easiest way to do that actually is that, you see, let's bring our body front and let's hide our arm. So remember that our armhole mark, right, which is this one. So from the armhole mark to the side of our body panel, this measures at 4 centimeters, right, before they go up, right? So we can actually use the same raglan curve actually. So as you remember that this one points directly to the side, 4 centimeters, and then this one points to that same armhole mark. So we can actually use exactly the same technique for our raglan curve for the arm. So 4 centimeters to the side, right? And this one points to the same spot there. Now, okay, maybe it's not here, it's here. So yeah, so there, right? So they point to the same face. However, now let's check our length, right? As you can see right now that our, what is called again, our raglan curve for the arm hasn't really matched the original body raglan curve, because the raglan curve for the body is actually 18.43, right? So we have to make sure that the raglan curve for the arm and the raglan curve for the body is exactly the same, right? So how to do that? Well, because it hasn't been matched, right? The easiest way to do that, well, the easiest way to do that is actually to add faces to our cap area, right? So let's say that we move it 2 centimeters, right? And then we're gonna add another 2 cuts there. So if we move this thing up here, you would notice that now it's already correct, right? So that's the way to do that. So anyway, it's still a little bit off, right? It's 18.6, meanwhile the original is 18.4. So you can actually just offset it to the bottom, depending, yep, I think we can just offset it here, right? Maybe 5 millimeters, right? And let's check the length. That's a little bit too small, right? Okay, let's check again. That's even smaller. So maybe not too much. Okay. Now, let's see. 0.3. Come on. 0.3. Okay. Actually, yeah. Maybe this really small changes, right? 1 millimeter tops. So yeah, that matches, right? 18.4, and that is gonna be our curve. So yeah, so the next one is we're gonna deal with the back, right? So let's duplicate our back, and we're gonna move that to here, and this one to there. 4 centimeters to the inside, and then this one to that same point, right? They meet in the middle. And let's check the length. And for the back, it's a little bit too long, because just a little bit actually, same thing, because it should be 21.09. Meanwhile, this one is 21.2. The thing is, if you wish not to do this, actually, you can actually skip it over, because the difference is really small, but I'm gonna do it anyway, right? So let's bring this to the bottom, maybe 2 millimeters, right? And let's see, 21.1. Yeah, that's really close right now. And let's snap it top, 21.10. Okay, let's bring it back a little bit more, 2 millimeters again. And that tops length. Okay, now that's a little bit too small, right? Now let's bring it back to the top. 1 millimeter, minus 1 millimeter, and we snap it there, and it should be the same. Yeah, it should be the same. And now that is our raglan curve. So this one matches with that one, and this one matches with that one. So now that is our raglan curve. So the only thing that we need to do right now is to curve it, to curve this thing. So yeah, so let's see our Photoshop, and yeah. Now the thing is, as you can see right now, is that you don't actually have to I know that we've offset this to centimeters, but actually if you see this drawing, you would see that this 2 centimeters happens only for the front, meanwhile the back is more like 5.5, right? So the thing is, I think what I'm gonna do is actually not 2 centimeters, because I think it's a little bit too much. So I think I'm just gonna make it 1 centimeter, I guess, right? Something like that. Sure. Now let's create another Bezier curve, right? And we're gonna put here, there. Sorry. I'm gonna put it there. Curve it to the middle point, and then this one to that point, and curve it to the middle point. Something like that. Let's check the length, and the length is actually already, sorry, this one should meet with that, and then that one should meets that. So it doesn't really help much. So let's make this, yep, something like that. And yeah, 8.1 millimeter, 8.1 centimeters. That's not a bad number, I guess. Hey, now I think it's actually a good number. And now we can actually safely cut it. Now we can just go to edit and choose all these thing, right? That, and mesh knife project. And then we can cut everything down. Okay. That's good, and that's cut this way, and face. Now that is a good thing. The only thing that we have, let's call it color curve side arm, probably. Yeah, the only thing that we need to do right now is actually to cut this thing, right? So let's cut it there, and let's cut it there. Okay, now let's see, face, and this one too, and face. Now, okay, now this is the time when we should kind of match. Remember that we have a curve, the Raglan curve and everything, but the thing is, this thing will connect with our body front, right? So that's this. So these things, these edges will connect to that edges, right? So you should make sure that these two edges has exactly the same amount of, well, edges. So the way to do it is actually to use the length of our Raglan curve to represent the length of the curve. So for example, let's start with our color, right? So our color front, this one, as you remember that this is 6 centimeters. So this one, these edges should be 6 edges. Meanwhile, this is 14 because we have to clean this up. before it shows the correct number, right? These are vertices, and right now they already have 6 edges, and that's great. So, oh, this one, we have to delete it, faces, and our raglan for the front part, sorry, raglan, where's the raglan? Okay, this one. This one is, if you remember, 18.4, so you can make it either 18 or 19. For me, I'm gonna make it 18. For me, I'm just gonna make it 18. Okay, now let's first clean this up, right? And now we've got 24. We have to remove 6. So that is our first one. 5 remaining. 4 remaining. 4, 3, 2, maybe this one, 1, and well, there, yeah, that looks just great. 18 edges, and that is great. So let's do our back first, right? So same thing, this should be 6 edges, right? Because it's 6 centimeters, and it's 8 right now, and I think we have to delete that, and we just have to connect this to that, and we've got 6. So for the raglan back here, and the length is 21. So we have to make these edges to be 21 edges. So first, let's clean up off this stray vertices. Okay, now, okay, and let's see what we've got. We've got 26, so we have to remove 5 vertices, and let's see. So that one there, we've got 4, we've got 3, 2, 1, and what should we, because it's just way too much, and maybe that, yeah, we cannot dissolve everything because it's gonna, the number will be less than it should be. Now the edges is 21, which is already the correct number, and now let's deal with the arm right here. So that is our arm, right? And yeah, so let's do the same thing. First, this thing should be 8 centimeters because the side panel of the collar is gonna be 8, so it's gonna be easy. You just have to delete everything, and this will be 8. Next is our front raglan curve, and yeah, now let's see. Wow, we've got 22. We just have to lose 3 for this case. Let's see. 1, 2, 1 more, and that's gonna be, which one? That, I think. Now this one is, oh, 1 more. Which one? So I think I'm gonna choose this one, right? So this one is 18, and that's great. Then we have to deal with the back right now. So okay, that, and that. Now let's check it. It's 28. yeah, so meanwhile we only need 21. So 7 faces to, I mean 7 edges to go. So that is gonna be, maybe this one is the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, well, maybe this 7, right? So we've got that 21, and yeah, I think that's cool. And now that is our that is our arm panel, and I think that's it, to be honest. Now, yeah. So this in this chapter we are making this arm. So the idea is that to cut this thing, we just gonna use the raglan curve from the body panel, and we just have to modify it a little bit to fit this better. So yeah, now we've got 3 panels, and we're gonna combine it with our color there. So yeah,